Today we had the fourth class in the series Pathways to Freedom, Evolution, and the Next Step. Unfortunately, the voice recording did not work, but I'm going to make a recording here to share at least some of what I presented during the class, and unfortunately we won't have Father Jonathan's input on this, but this recording will include some different practices that you can work with. But first, I started off following up when we talked about evolution during the last class, and Jonathan had talked about evolution being a result of failure, and that certainly is true in some circumstances when the old ways of trying to cope with something are no longer working, then something new has to come through. But I want to share some other ways to look at how evolution works. We do live in a universe that has a built-in principle of self-organization to a higher state of being. And that process of self-organization requires cycles of what the Sufis call fana, F-A-N-A, which means a breakdown of the old ways. The old translation is annihilation or shattering. And then there's an in-between state, which is like the in-between chaotic state in a chaotic system before it emerges into something that you couldn't predict from the initial conditions. And the Sufi term for this is baqa, which means rebirth or resurrection. So this process of evolution can take place sometimes through a trauma in our life. Something happens, we have a loss, a death, an illness, loss of job, something that just really pulls the rug out from under us. And our previous way of dealing with things doesn't seem to be working anymore, and we're not sure of what is going to take the place of how we were in the past. And so we go through this process of reorganization, and then we come to an understanding that's deeper, and we have a way of dealing with what happened and moving on into the future. So the Sufis talk about in our life, we go through various maqam, M-A-Q-Q-A-M, which means station. And during a maqam, we have lessons that we're working on. But when we've finished with those lessons, it's time to move on to the next one. But our tendency is, because we like security and familiarity, is to hold on to our previous ways of coping with things. But the more we try to do that, when something is trying to emerge in our being, then things start falling apart more and more. And in the course of our journey towards greater and greater awakening, perhaps we come to a place when we begin to recognize when these shifts are happening in our life, and we learn to welcome them and learn to be able to let go of our previous ways of dealing with things and be in a state of receptivity, even though we don't know exactly what's going to come out of it, so we can emerge into a different state of being. And the more we're able to do that more easily, I call this the gentle fana. It still may be brought about by a traumatic circumstance, but our response to it is a lot easier than it would be if we just are holding on and don't have any idea how we're going to deal with things. So we've talked before about, in this process of awakening, that it's important to do practices. And why do we need to do practices? Because we tend to be stuck in a what we've called the simulation and habitual frame of reference, our old ways of acting and relating to whatever we're experiencing. And we tend to be stuck in a dualistic frame of reference in which we feel separated from everything else. So what do practices do? For one, they help us to experience ourselves as not just being this separated, bounded being that stops with our skin, but rather that's kind of the permeable membrane, and our influence of our being extends far beyond the boundaries of our physical body. Our energy permeates much further than that, and there's practices to learn how to recognize and work with different forms of subtle energy. So I'm going to briefly share some of these that you can try and work with on your own. And these are simple practices, but they're effective. So the first practice is working with magnetism. We have an electromagnetic field surrounding our body, and that field varies in intensity depending on our state of health, uh, our state of well-being. And so we can intensify this magnetic field by just being conscious of it. So here's the simple practice. Close your eyes and imagine that you're surrounded by an arch of compasses at a distance of 3 feet above your head and out to the sides. And that as you exhale, you're tuning into your magnetism of your being, and you're allowing it to reach to the compasses, and the magnetism deflects the compass needles. Imagine they all get deflected towards the east as you exhale. And as you inhale, feel that you're drawing back into your body your magnetic energy. And as you do that, the compasses are deflected back in the opposite direction. They move more towards the west. So just try this briefly. Exhale and feel the magnetism expanding, the compass needles deflecting to the east. And as you inhale, drawing that energy back in, the compass needles deflect towards the west. Try this for a bit. And now if you're able to do this, put the compasses at a distance of 6 feet instead of 3 feet and do the same thing. Now your magnetic field is going to extend twice as far. And then expand it to 12 feet. And you can work with this practice and just keep working on expanding the magnetism as far as you're able to. And this will help you to become aware of the magnetic energy of your being. Now there's another practice that can work with a different form of subtle energy. So once again, close your eyes and imagine that you're in the middle of a huge field of roses. And initially the roses are closed up. And imagine that you're breathing from your heart center in the middle of your chest. And as you exhale, imagine that you're radiating life energy and the energy of pure spirit in all directions. And as you do, there's kind of a ripple effect, and the roses start opening, the ones closer to you and then the ones a little further away, and so on. On each exhalation, feel the roses opening up as you allow this life energy and energy of spirit to extend from your being in all directions. And as you inhale, draw this energy back into the heart, and imagine that there's a lotus in the heart, and the lotus, which was closed, now opens up as you draw this energy within. So the roses around you close up as you inhale, but the lotus within opens in your heart as you breathe in. And then repeat. Exhale, the roses around you open, the rose in your heart closes. And as you inhale, the roses around you close up and the lotus in your heart opens. So try this for a little bit. And again, these are simple practices, but you can work with them and they'll begin to help you to become more aware of the fact that your being is in a very permeable and circulatory relationship with everything around you. It's not isolated, it's separated. And the Sufis, as well as the physicists, say in different language that there's a new creation born at every instant. So at each instant, there's the opportunity to emerge into a fresh way of being and perceiving, in the world, but our tendency is to habitually project into the future a logical, linear continuation of the way that things have been. So even though there's this opening that's always available, we tend to close it down and be in a constricted frame of reference. It's almost as if we are living on the holodeck of Star Trek instead of the reality in which we exist. So the process of awakening is freeing ourselves from this illusion. It's not that the physical world is not real, is that it's so much more than what we perceive it to be and what we conceive of it to be. But we can't just get there by thinking about it or reading books or reading theories or even believing, well, okay, this world is much more real and I know that I'm already in it because that's what they're telling me. Well, it doesn't do you much good if you're stuck in a frame of reference in which you can't really feel that or participate in it. So once again, that's why it's very important to work with practices, and it's very helpful to have guidance, whatever tradition that you feel an attraction toward, whatever authentic spiritual school. They each have different methodologies, or you could even say technologies, to help you learn how to awaken consciousness in other realms in which you already exist. When someone has an experience of one of these realms, the tendency is to feel like you've gone somewhere else, that's not really you. And you try to get back to that, and you think that that's the point. That's not the point. The point is to become aware of the multiple, I call them vibrational levels, on which we always already exist, and to be able to feel the circulation of light in our being that goes through all of these realms, each one influencing the other ones, while being able to modulate our consciousness to focus on whatever is needed at the time, on whatever level of our being we want to be really tuned into. So in Christianity, a central theme is the resurrection, and we think of it as the resurrection of one being, of Christ. But the resurrection is really about a state of transformation that's available to every being. And we could say at every instant in this new creation, we have the opportunity of emerging into something fresh, something new, something living. So there's not a single resurrection. There's not a single baqa. There's not a single fana of breaking down and baqa, rebirth and reorganizing to a higher state of being. This is a process that is ongoing, and there's no end to it. There's not a finish line that we're trying to get to, because we are engaged in a process of the totality awakening to itself, or in mysticism, the divine being awakening to the divine being's self by virtue of the divine's relationship with everything in manifestation, everything in existence. And everything in existence, including you, everyone listening to this recording, has a unique aspect of the wisdom that can emerge when you bring forth something in your being, your unique way of relationship with whatever you are experiencing, that's a gift to all of creation and a gift to the divine being. So now I want to share another practice. One simple prayer that Hazrat Khan, who brought Sufism to the West in the early 1900s, gave. It's very simple. Just pour upon us thy love and thy light. And it's done with arms raised. And you say this 11 times, but let's just do it 7 times for now. I'll do it aloud 7 times. You can do it with me. And the normal way of experiencing this is to feel that you are asking the divine to pour upon you the divine's love and light. So let's do that 7 times, and then I'll explain what the other 3 directions you can use to work with this prayer. So feel you're asking the divine to pour upon you the divine's love and light. Pour upon us thy love and thy 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 light. And now the second direction. The Sufis say that creation began because the divine was a hidden treasure desiring to know and be known, to love and be loved. And so the divine can only know the divine's being through the relationship with everything in manifestation, including you. And the relationship with you is unique to all of creation, and what the divine can know through you is unique in all of the universe. So this time, feel that it's the divine praying of you to pour upon the divine your unique love and your unique light. So again, we'll say it 7 times, but feel the divine is asking of you to pour upon the divine your love and your light. So it's the divine speaking here. Pour upon us thy love and thy light. 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 And now the third direction of working with this prayer is feeling that you are asking of whatever it is you're in relationship with in manifestation, whether it's person, something in nature, anything, everything in existence is a unique expression of the divine. So you're asking whatever you're experiencing, and it could be something on an inner realm, it could be an angel, even an archangel. You're asking whatever you're experiencing to pour upon you the unique love and light that comes through that which you are experiencing. So this is your prayer to whatever you're experiencing to pour upon you that unique light. Pour upon us thy love and thy 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 light. And the fourth direction, because you have something unique in your being that's an expression of the divine that can't come from anything else in all of existence, feel that everything you're experiencing is praying to you to be able to receive the unique love and light that comes from your being. So this is everything in existence saying this back to you. Pour upon us thy love and thy light. 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 And can you feel this circulation of light and love that permeates through all of existence? And the Sufi term is ishq, I-S-H-Q, which means nostalgia or longing. It's a longing of everything to experience this uniqueness of divinity in every direction. So Hazrat Khan has a beautiful chapter in one of the message volumes of his teachings called Spiritual Circulation Through the Veins of Nature. So you might wonder, well, what is circulating through the veins of nature? It's light. But is it just generic light, like you turn a light switch on and light goes through? Is it just generic light, like the uncreated light of the angelic realm? But think of a fiber optic cable. Fiber optic cable carries light, but what does that light carry? Well, it carries everything that's on the internet. Everything is carried in this light. So the wisdom of existence is conveyed through the light that circulates through everything, and the possibilities of what can arise from this wisdom are always there in whatever relationship we find ourselves experiencing. And how does this ishq, this longing, fit in? Well, something that came to me recently was ishq is the heartbeat of existence. It's what pulsates, it's what drives this process, not to just be static, as wonderful as it is, the reality of everything an emergent form of divinity, but it's that forward thrust, as Pure Vilayat would say, the pull of the future towards the possibilities of what can become that are as of yet unknown to anyone or anything, or even the divine being can't know what can emerge, the possibilities that we can become capable of participating in that process. So we could say our dharma, our spiritual purpose, our duty is to bring forth that uniqueness that can only come through us, that brings a certain light into existence, that's a gift to all of creation, that's a catalyst for transformation. We can participate individually in that, but then we realize, well, we're part of the whole cosmic, never-ending process of that emergence, greater and greater emergence of light in everything, that circulation of light. And what a wonder, what a blessing. Hasranat Khan has this beautiful phrase, may the heavens be reflected on the earth, Lord, that the earth may turn into heaven. And it's like these realms we talk about, the realm of the jinn, the realm of the angels, and so on. When someone dies, we say, where are they? They're the other side. Well, they're really no place but here is so much more than what we realized it was. Our perception, our ability to perceive is so truncated when we limit ourselves to the input of the senses and the usual input of our thinking, our concepts, and our emotional reactions. But awakening is opening and discovering this much richer reality that we always exist in, but that's not the end of it. That's not the end purpose, as wonderful as that is. It's to be able to participate, to bring forth the deepest desire each of us has in our heart that's going to help to color what emerges from it, to help bring about a new creation that we each become capable of participating in, both individually and collectively. So something I wrote a while back, and maybe I read this in an earlier class, is our purpose is not solely for damage control. Sometimes we think of healing just getting back to good, which is fine, or spirituality just restoring what's been damaged, but instead, not just for that, but to become capable of participating in the never-ending evolution, transformation, and awakening of the divine in manifestation and in all of the realms. So let's end this brief overview of this last part of our 4-part series with a wonderful Buddhist prayer that's a fill-in-the-blank prayer, basically. So, with the thought of love, let me encompass the world, and may that love, increasing without measure, encompass the whole universe up to its confines. With the thought of peace, let me encompass the world, and may that peace, increasing without measure, encompass the whole universe up to its confines. With the thought of joy, let me encompass the world, and may that joy, increasing without measure, encompass the whole universe up to its confines. With the thought of healing, let me encompass the world, and may that healing, increasing without measure, encompass the whole world, the whole universe, up to its confines. So may all beings be blessed. May all beings be happy. And may you continue on your own unique individual journey of awakening with confidence, with clarity, with resolution, with the joy of discovery and the wonder of the grace and the blessings that abound everywhere. Amen.